Daily Food Series, Word, Life, and Edification, Part 2. Title of Book 1, Are You Willing to Change Your Life? By Pedro. Week 1, the Feast of the Tabernacles. Thursday, a small yet extraordinary difference. Read with prayer. The Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from your midst, from your brethren. Him you shall hear. Deuteronomy 18:15. We know that God is restoring the walls of the churches, marking the boundaries based on which his government is established. The problem with the degradation of the churches in the past was the lack of government and the absence of a channel appointed by God to give them direction. However, this period is over. It is past. Today, we believe God designates a channel to provide direction to the churches through the prophetic word. How do you know if a prophet is chosen to bring the word of God to the churches? If the word that comes out of his mouth comes true, it means that he is from God. If it is not fulfilled, he is not from God. Deuteronomy chapter 18, verses 21 and 22. Therefore, God's government in the church, through the prophetic word, is what actually determines the church in a city. It is not a matter of whether this one appeared before that one, or any other reason. Before, we did not have this vision, but now we're clear about it. This is the cause of so many attacks by infernal forces against the prophetic word today. Restoring the temple, in some ways, is easier than building the walls in Jerusalem. Satan's strategies today are the same as those used against Peter, Paul, and John, to divert the churches from the path in their respective times. The use of charismatic leaders to compete and dispute influence with the prophet appointed by God to give direction to the churches. The elaboration of doctrines and teachings that distract the saints from the prophetic word. The dissemination of, quote-unquote, other gospels to confuse the churches. Let us not be children tossed to and fro. We're not in the time to falter between two thoughts or seek neutrality. 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 21. Let us take a stance. Let us move forward without any doubt in our hearts. Nothing can stop the church in these end times. The church in Philadelphia has little strength, but it completely trusts and believes that the Word does the work. Revelation chapter 3, verse 8. Pay attention to this point. Many servants of God were amongst us, and we have believed that they were truly men of God. Today, what is the difference? Our teenagers answer this question through their lives. They show us that it is not just a matter of believing that these servants and their word come from God, but it means receiving the word as it was spoken, without altering it, and having the conviction that it has the power to do the work of God. This is the small yet extraordinary difference, a detail that changes everything. Teenagers listen, transcribe, and practice the prophetic word, and they immerse themselves in it without doubting. They take the prophetic word with them when they go to the streets to preach the gospel and carry out colporting. When they realize that things are no longer flowing, they stop, immerse themselves again in the Word, choose some points from what they read, and practice them as written without adding words or other methods. They're faithful in this aspect because they believe that the prophetic word will do the work and not themselves. Do we realize the difference between how we relate to the word and the prophet of God today and what this relationship was like in the past? In the past, we received the prophet as a man of God. And when it came to practicing the word we had heard, we adapted it and did the work our way. Now the situation has changed. We believe that the one sent by God brings the word of direction to the churches, and that this word will do the work of God. God's government is established in the church through the prophetic word, and we have witnessed miracles happening amongst us because of that word. This is what rebuilding the walls means. We are rebuilding the walls and reestablishing God's rule in the church. That is why the Lord, who is leading the church in Philadelphia, presents himself as the one who has the key of David, who opens and no one will shut, who closes and no one will open. Revelation chapter 3, verse 7. It is not through our ability that a door opens or closes, nor through our eloquence that something happens in the Lord's word. Immerse yourself in the prophetic word and see what will happen in your life and in the lives of those around you. The word of the Lord will do the work.